wonderful introduction that she gave me. Definitely has brought me a mighty long way, she has. Our scripture this evening comes from Paul's letter to the church at Rome, Romans 12:1. Davidson's going to put it on the screen here in a moment, but I'm going to go ahead and read it. Romans 12:1 says, I beseech ye therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that ye present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service. And a subject this evening for us to consider, that's unacceptable. That's unacceptable.
All right.
Paul is telling the church at Rome how to present themselves before God. And he's telling us as well. If you go back, he says, I beseech you therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God. That's how you're going to present yourselves before him, through his mercy. You can't do it on your own. You need him to be able to present yourself to him. You need his mercy. That you present your bodies. I can't present Sister Gray before God. I have to present me. I can't present anyone else but me. So Paul specifically says, your bodies, a living, no more birds, no more doves, no more cows and bulls and chickens, that kind of stuff. A living sacrifice, something that you give, that you freely give, Going back to offering and stuff, Bishop talked about that a little bit this morning. If we have to beg you for your money, as far as an offering is concerned, the Spirit basically says you should keep it. Just keep it. God does not want you to return to him that which is his in the first place if I got to pry it out of your hand.
That's right.
Because you might as well keep your hand proud, because no blessings are going to be coming in it either. But anything you give to God, if you don't give it willingly, your money, your time, whatever, you should just keep it if you don't give it willingly.
Amen.
Off that back in there. A living sacrifice. Holy. We are a church called Holiness. If we don't be holy, if we don't live holy, if we don't teach holy, then we should change our name. Yeah. You can't have holiness without being holy. Right. We need to be holy. Acceptable unto God. That's what he's telling us. When we get ready to present ourselves to God. Now I'm going to depart a minute. I'll tell you a story. This is where the that's unacceptable part comes in. In January of this year, I started taking some classes to get my master's. Master's in Education Technology. 2 years to consider here. 1981, that's when I graduated from high school. 1985 is when I graduated from college. I've been out of school for a long time. And I was a little nervous. I mean, I'm taking a class in education technology. Sometimes I might struggle a minute to turn a computer on. But here I am taking a class in education technology. And one story real quick. I was working on doing some homework. I had my laptop in front of me. I had the regular computer at home, PC is what you call it, and my laptop and my cell phone, trying to work on this one assignment. And I was looking at the screen, I was moving the mouse, and I could not figure out why I could not see the icon on the screen.
Okay.
Well, the mouse was to the computer I was looking at. And over there is where I should have been looking.
Great.
I don't mind telling you that. In some areas, I am technologically challenged. I started with 2 classes. First class started in January, and several assignments. Most of the assignments were worth 1, 2, 4, sometimes 10 points. And I received perfect scores on everything that we did. 10 out of 10 here, 5 out of 5 there, and so on. I ended the class with the 100%. Second class, different instructor, a little more difficult. I noticed right away some of the assignments were worth 100 points. And so I'm thinking, wow, okay, all right. But in all things, I remember my mom always telling me, just do your best. Do your best, whether it's worth 1 or 100, whether 5 people are going to be there or 500 people are going to be there, do your best. All right, so I started in the second class, turning things in, here and there, 10 points here, 10 points here. Perfect assignment still. The first 100-point assignment, I got 100 points. A couple of assignments after that, 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10, so on and so forth. The second 100-point assignment, still have problems dealing with it. The second 100-point assignment, Bishop, I got a 98. And I looked at that score for a long time because I had been looking and waiting on this score for a long time. Sometimes I woke up 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning, grabbed my cell phone, and went to the site where I could check my grades to see if the professor had posted the grade. I got a 98. Because I had been receiving perfect scores on everything, which comes into our title for this evening, that 98 was not acceptable. I just kept saying, that's unacceptable. I talked to everybody that would listen. Elder Duke and I, we close friends on a lot of things, and he was one of many people. Sister Gray, 5 or 6 co-workers, and several relatives said, you know that's an A, right? And I actually needed to put on a t-shirt. You know that's an A, right? A couple of times I kept telling myself, you know that's an A, right? But what had happened, y'all, was my dynamic had changed. I was shooting for perfection. I wanted everything to be great. And I don't know if my professor is a Christian or not, but I believe that God was looking out for him because this is an online class. If this were an in-person class, I would have been outside his office for a long time. I wanted to know where in that explanation, where are those 2 points? Y'all think I'm kidding, but I am so serious. I wanted to know where those 2 points were. I had received 100 out of 100 on everything up until that point. And to me, that 98? I'm almost forgetting. That 98 was not acceptable. And a lot of things, the Holy Spirit just kept pouring it into me. I was at the men's Perfecting Men conference. I always keep a notebook with me to write things down, and I'm listening to Bishop Hines that evening that he spoke, and Bishop Morton and Bishop Blake. But I'm also writing down as the Spirit kept pouring into me. That's unacceptable. That's unacceptable. That's unacceptable. I'm listening, but in the whole time I'm saying that's unacceptable. That's not acceptable. And I come up with a lot of things this evening that in our world, in where we live, we are claiming things that are unacceptable as though they were acceptable. we are conforming and compromising, and we are trying to place a name tag or a stamp on unacceptable. It says acceptable, but it's still unacceptable. So we think if we change the name of it, people will accept it. We think if we dress it up, put some fancy clothing on it, it will be unacceptable. Unacceptable. But it's still unacceptable. I've talked about it before. I'm going to do it one more time, and maybe I won't do it again. If you look at that chicken, okay? You can put all the eagle stuff on that chicken you want to. But at the end of the day, it's still a chicken. You can start calling the chicken an eagle. But it's still a chicken. So, we'll put a name tag on unacceptable. We're trying to dress it up. The other thing we're doing to unacceptable is ignoring it and thinking that it will go away.
All right.
Bishop talked about weeds this morning. Weeds and unacceptable are just alike. They grow in the same place as grass. Unacceptable and acceptable, they live pretty close together. And if you don't pull out the weeds, the grass or the plant will die. If we don't pull out unacceptable, acceptable is going to die.
Yeah. All right.
If we don't address unacceptable, it's going to take over.
Yeah.
It's going to take over. People are going to keep sleeping and living in unacceptable. Think of some years here, 1969, 1979, 1989, back in the day. There was a time when children went to church.
Amen.
That word time. You went pretty much every time the doors were open.
Amen.
You stayed a long time.
Amen.
And by the time you left, it was almost time to go back.
Amen.
But you went. But you went. And you did not have a choice.
No, you didn't.
Well, technically, you may have had a choice. You could have gone willingly or unwillingly. But you were going. That's the point. You were going.
Oh, yes.
You were going to go with a smile. You might go with tears. You might go and stand for a while because you don't want to sit. And everybody's going to know why you don't want to sit. Because your backside is tender. But you were going. Yo, we've gone, I'm so glad we have children's church here. Because we've gone from children's church in some areas to children's choice. We're letting them choose whether or not they go.
Amen.
When did that become acceptable? If you just feel like you have to give them a choice or something, let them choose if they want chocolate milk or white milk. Let them choose if they want corn or peas. Let them choose if they want to ride in the back seat or the front seat. But don't let them choose whether or not they go to church. Amen. That's not a choice they should be making. That's unacceptable. We are supposed to discipline our child. The word says, train up a child. It also says, spare the rod. I saw something a few Sundays ago that I hadn't seen in a while. She's not here, but I'm going to call her name. Sister King had a little switch. I hadn't seen a person with a switch in a long time. But most of us in here knew what that switch meant. Some of us in here have gone and gotten a switch to be whipped. They would send you to get your own switch. Some of us, as we think about this, they're saying, "Oh, y'all got with a switch? Oh, we would have loved the switch. The switch wouldn't have been as bad as a belt or whatever was handy." Parental involvement. Also, back in the day, it's been said it takes a village. It takes really more than that. It takes a village and a half. Back in the day, if you got in trouble, let's say you got in trouble at school, everybody that found out about it was going to discipline you.
Amen.
Your parents,
Amen.
your neighbor, uncle, aunt, anybody older than you that knew what you did and was disappointed in what you had done was going to discipline you. Today, that does not happen. We don't say much to children who are out of line if they aren't ours. And sometimes if they're ours, we don't say anything, but we specifically don't say anything to children who aren't ours, who are out of line. Why? Because in most instances, when you go to discipline a child that's not yours, the parent is going to support that child and be against you. And you're going to have a fight on your hand.
Amen.
You're going to have a fight on your hand. You're not supposed to whip my child. Somebody right now needs to whip your child before they are whipped in prison. Lots of things are being accepted that are really unacceptable. Look at the television, the language, the nudity. All of these things are being accepted in this world, but they are still unacceptable. There's a reason God says to us, lean not to our own understanding. Our understanding is not consistent. It changes.
Yeah.
It changes from time to time.
Yeah.
God has 10 commandments. There's still 10 commandments. He's not going to send us a list tomorrow and where it's 7 or 5 commandments, it's still going to be 10. But what man is doing is man is looking at the 10 commandments and picking out the 2 or 3 that they want to follow.
That's right.
And
That's right.
posting that as acceptable. It's still unacceptable. And still on the children, we're not encouraging our children to do their best. The parents that I would like to see on open house and parent conference day are the children that are struggling.
Right.
But I don't see them. The parents that come are the children that are making A's and B's, and sometimes I want to say, will you get out of here? I don't need to see you. I had a young man today, not today, but Friday. He had an appendicitis. And I was corresponding with his mother through email, and I told her I would exempt him from his exam. He had a 90-somebody%. This young man showed up to class the day of the exam anyway, and I was surprised when I saw him. I said, you do know I exempted you from this exam. He wanted to take it just to see what he would do. And I gave it to him. I didn't tell him I wasn't going to grade it, but I gave it to him, and he took it. He took an exam he didn't have to take. And the kids who are supposed to take it, some of them were absent. Absent for a semester exam because there's nobody encouraging them. Nobody's encouraging them.
That's right.
But the channel's talking about, encouraging these kids and everything. And seriously, when they do positive things, we don't say much.
All right.
But when they do negative things, we can't get you to shut up.
All right.
That is so true.
Yes.
Brothers and sisters, the world is giving medals in mediocrity. People are very satisfied with D's and F's.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, if that's your best, if a D is your best, then go for it. Take it. Now, back to the grades. Now, I was not a straight A student. I made decent grades at Hendricks, at Catholic High, where, I made good grades. I wasn't a straight A student. But when I got a taste of being a straight A student, you can't tell me I'm not a straight A student now. If you went to the house right now, I think I sent the picture to Elder Jeff. Y'all, I have my grades on the refrigerator. And I was not ashamed to take congratulations from Elder Duke, Elder Anderson, anybody. You might think I'm lying.
No, you're not.
Here I have copies of my transcript right here. Anybody that wants one. I have one for Bishop for sure. Because I'm proud of myself. And we need to be proud of one another. And if nobody's proud of you, you need to be proud of yourself. Especially when you've done your best.
Amen.
You know, when we were supposed to have a bowling fellowship yesterday. Now, I don't know if many of you know much about bowling, but there are 10 pins up there. And keep that vision in your mind. The world right now, when the world gets up to bowl, the world is just trying to knock down 5 of those 10 pins. And they're real happy about it. You're supposed to try to knock down all 10. You don't get up there and try, I'm going to get those 5 right there. No, I try to knock down all 10 of them. I bowl every week. I know, and he's not going to admit it. But I believe my brother here, Elder Anderson, was praying that we had rain yesterday. Trying to avoid that bowling beatdown that he was going to get. We have to stop settling for knocking down 5 pins. We got to stop settling for gutter balls. We got to get our kids out of the gutter. A co-worker said to me, he said, Joe, we're not teaching these kids how to get by. I said, no. That's what we're doing. All we're doing is teaching them how to get by. A D is getting by.
Yeah.
A D is getting by. That's what's wrong with them. We're just teaching them how to get by. And the problem with that is we don't serve a barely get by God. We serve an exceedingly abundantly above and beyond God. And that's how his people are supposed to serve him.
Yeah.
None of this knock down 5 and just jumping up and down like you got a strike. No, you only knock down 5. You only knocked down 5. Now, when I first started bowling, I would go and when I really started liking it, I bought my own ball and all that kind of stuff. And I would sometimes bowl 10, 12 games an evening. And the problem was I couldn't leave until I had a score that I could live with. You know, that was acceptable to me. And had we gone, he may have beaten me. The miracles still happen in this world. Elder Jeff may have beaten me, but we were going to stay there. Honestly, we were going to stay there until I beat him. Because I am a victor. And I don't accept defeat anymore. Yo, we've got to stop accepting the unacceptable. In everything we do, we've got to stop accepting these unacceptable things. You see, all of us at one time, we were trapped in our transgressions because we were indulging in our iniquities. And we were doomed to a destiny of darkness. But God sent his son to Calvary. And he carried all our unacceptabilities away. And he covered us with his blood. You see, he was bruised for those iniquities and wounded for those transgressions. God, when he looks at me, he sees that he has forgiven me. And to him, I am acceptable. Unacceptable cannot spend eternity with God. There is a place prepared for the unacceptable, led by the one who could not accept God as God. Matter of fact, he wanted to be God. That was his problem. That's unacceptable. And there is a place prepared for those who have accepted Christ as their Lord and Savior. Dying is unacceptable there. Sadness is unacceptable there. Fear and all the things of regret are unacceptable there. But that other place that has been prepared for those that have been considered acceptable by God. What is acceptable there is joy, happiness, love, peace, worship, and praise all the day long. If you don't change your life, if you don't stop pretending that you are acceptable, if you don't start listening to the Holy Spirit as it speaks to you every single day, telling you in your ear, that's not acceptable. Don't go there. That's not acceptable. Don't say that. That's not acceptable.
That's right.
We should, instead of the 10 commandments, we should have 15. We should do more than what is expected.
Yeah.
Because what I have learned is that if I am reaching for 100% and I fall short, I'm usually somewhere in the 90s. And that is, as my friends and everybody's told me, that's still an A. If we're reaching to be all that we can be in Christ, and we somehow fall short, it's still going to be in a good place. We'll be here in Zion Temple. We'll be praising God. We won't be living in unacceptability and encouraging other people to be in unacceptability. My brothers and sisters, it's one side or the other. It's acceptable, and then there's the other side. The other side, that's unacceptable.